I was standing in front of the painting when an unknown woman handed me a note. My fingers trembled as I unfolded it. "Stay calm and follow me." I was confused, but she leaned closer, her whisper urgent against the gallery's hushed atmosphere. "The woman by the sculptures is watching you." I turned slowly, my heart hammering. It was her, Jennifer. My daughter-in-law stood partially hidden behind a marble pillar, phone pressed to her ear, her eyes tracking my every movement. Before we continue, let me introduce myself properly. This is Revenge Stories, a home for quiet courage and true endings. If you feel my words, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Help us build this community so we can bring more interesting and exciting stories for you from around the world. Your help is much appreciated. Your voice matters here. Your story matters too. Now, let me take you back to where this all began. The painting before me showed shattered mirrors reflecting a woman's face from different angles, fractured identity caught in crystalline light. I've been standing there maybe 15 minutes, letting retirement feel like peace rather than emptiness. March afternoons in Seattle carried a soft gray weight, but inside the museum, light fell clean across polished marble floors. I'd become comfortable these past 18 months, living with Daniel and Jennifer. My son had insisted after Thomas died, and I'd resisted less than I should have. This morning over breakfast, Jennifer had mentioned something about simplifying my life. "Just think about it, Mom," she'd said, spreading jam on toast with careful precision. The suggestion hadn't bothered me then. Then the stranger appeared at my side without sound. "The composition in this piece is remarkable, don't you think?" Her voice carried professional warmth, pitched just loud enough for the small cluster of visitors nearby to hear the way identity fractures through different perspectives. Something pressed into my palm, paper, folded tight. Her fingers were gone before I could react, but she'd moved closer now, her shoulder nearly touching mine as we both faced the fractured woman act calm and follow me. The note read when I unfolded it slightly in my coat pocket. My courtroom composure, built over 28 years as a prosecutor, kept my expression neutral, but my pulse kicked up. The woman leaned in, her whisper urgent and direct. "The woman by the sculptures is watching you. Don't turn quickly. I'm a private investigator." "Your daughter hired me." Every instinct screamed to look. I didn't. Not immediately. Instead, I studied the painting harder, buying seconds to think. Who watches a retired prosecutor in an art museum? Why would someone warn me? My daughter, she meant Sophia, my younger daughter, the one who'd moved to Tacoma 4 years ago after her divorce. She'd hired an investigator. "Don't turn suddenly," the woman whispered. "Follow my lead." I couldn't help it. My head turned slow and casual, scanning the gallery as though admiring the architecture. That's when I saw her clearly. Jennifer stood partially obscured by that marble column, phone pressed to her ear, but her eyes were locked on me, cold, calculating. She'd told us this morning she'd be in Vancouver today, client meetings all day. Daniel had kissed her goodbye at the door while I'd poured coffee, while I'd wished her safe travels like the trusting fool I was. The wrongness of it hit my stomach like a fist. "Who are you?" I kept my voice barely audible, still facing the painting. "What's happening?" "Private detective, Angela Martinez. Your daughter Sophia hired me 3 weeks ago." She touched my elbow lightly, a guide more than a grip. "We need to talk somewhere private. Now." Sophia, my younger daughter, my quiet observer who'd always been the one to notice details everyone else missed, she'd hired a detective. Angela began walking and I followed. We moved naturally, 2 museum visitors transitioning between galleries. She steered us toward a doorway marked "Staff Only" near the contemporary wing. My mind raced through possibilities, each worse than the last. Jennifer watching me. Jennifer lying about Vancouver. Sophia hiring investigators. A security guard glanced up as we approached the staff door, but Angela produced some credential I didn't catch, offered a pleasant nod, and we slipped through. The service corridor was bare concrete and fluorescent lighting, industrial after the gallery's elegance. Our footsteps echoed. Angela moved quickly now, leading me to a stairwell that smelled of paint and industrial cleaner. She turned to face me, pulling a business card and a thin folder from her jacket. The card read, Angela Martinez, Private Investigations, licensed and bonded. Your daughter Sophia hired me 3 weeks ago, she said, her tone shifting from urgent to professional. She noticed something off about your son's behavior, about his wife's behavior toward you. The words hung in the stale air. Something off about Daniel, my son, my oldest child, who'd insisted I move in after Thomas's funeral, who'd made room for me in his home and his life. Off how? Off how? My voice came out harder than intended, the prosecutorial tone I'd used for hostile witnesses. Angela opened the folder. Inside were photographs, time-stamped and clear. The first showed Daniel and Jennifer entering a building I didn't recognize. The angle suggested surveillance from across the street. They visited this attorney 5 times in the past 6 weeks, Angela said, her voice steady and factual. His specialty is elder law, specifically competency declarations and conservatorship proceedings. The words landed with surgical precision: competency, conservatorship. Legal terms I'd used 1,000 times in my career, now aimed at me like weapons. They're building a case to declare you mentally unfit, Angela continued, laying out more photographs, to gain legal control over your affairs, your assets, your life. Mentally unfit, I heard my own voice, flat and controlled, though my hands wanted to shake. To manage my own affairs, my own money, my own home. I paused, forcing my breathing steady. Evidence. Angela laid out more photographs on the stairwell steps. Daniel and Jennifer outside a medical office. Jennifer photographing my bedroom through the doorway, catching papers scattered across my desk that I'd left perfectly organized. Another image showed them at what looked like a coffee shop, heads close together, reviewing documents that looked suspiciously like medical forms. They've been recording conversations where you allegedly forget things, Angela explained, her tone professional but not cold. Photographing your spaces in disarray, which they create themselves. Jennifer has a physician friend willing to diagnose dementia without proper examination. Dr. Rebecca Walsh, internal medicine, owes Jennifer money from some failed investment scheme. The pieces assembled themselves in my mind with terrible clarity. Daniel asking if I'd remembered appointments I'd never made. His concerned expression when I looked confused. Jennifer moving my reading glasses, then finding them hours later in obvious places, suggesting gently that I should keep better track of my things. Documents vanishing from my desk only to reappear days later while they exchanged meaningful glances. They've been setting me up, I said, and the words tasted like poison, systematically. For how long? 4 months? Maybe longer. Angela pulled out another document, a financial spreadsheet with highlighted figures. The petition could be filed within 2 weeks. Judge Anderson is handling these cases currently. She's known for quick hearings when medical evidence seems clear. Anderson. I knew her slightly. A competent judge, but too trusting of medical testimony she'd rule fast if a doctor testified convincingly. How much? The question came out colder than I intended. What's my life worth to them? Angela met my eyes without flinching. Your house appraises at $970,000. Daniel owes $215,000 to various creditors. Jennifer has $68,000 in credit card debt. Your savings, pension, assets, they've researched everything thoroughly. You're worth approximately $1.4 million in total liquid and fixed assets. The numbers clicked into place. Enough debt to be desperate. Enough equity to solve their problems. And me, the obstacle between them and financial freedom. Not a mother, not family, just an asset to liquidate. Sophia knows, I said quietly. She suspected. She hired me, Angela confirmed. She didn't want to confront them without proof, smart woman. She said you'd know what to do with this information once you had it. My daughter, my youngest, who'd always been the observer, the quiet one who noticed everything she'd seen, what I'd missed, acted while I'd been played. I pulled out my phone, scrolled to Patricia Reed's contact. My thumb hovered over the call button. Patricia and I had worked together for 15 years. Her as defense attorney, me as prosecutor. We'd respected each other across courtroom aisles for years. She'd retired 2 years before I had, but she still consulted on elder law cases. I need to call someone tonight, I said, looking up at Angela. An attorney, Patricia Reed. Then I need to go home and pretend I know nothing. The strategy was forming now, cold and clear. Can you continue surveillance? Already planned, Angela said. They don't know I exist. She handed me a flash drive. Everything's here. Video surveillance, audio recordings, financial documents, the corrupted doctor's history. It's all documented. I pocketed the drive, feeling its weight like a weapon. Keep watching them. I want to know every move they make, every meeting, every phone call, everything. Angela nodded. Understanding in her expression, she'd seen this before. The moment a victim became something else. We left through different exits. I took the main entrance, walking normally, an older woman leaving a museum after an afternoon of culture. My car was where I'd left it in the parking structure. I placed Angela's folder under the passenger seat, hidden but accessible. The drive home took 30 minutes through Seattle traffic. I used every second to think, to plan, to let the prosecutorial training I'd spent a lifetime developing take control. They wanted to use the law against me. I'd prosecuted hundreds of cases. I knew every procedure, every loophole, every tactical advantage available. I pulled into the driveway as evening settled over the neighborhood. Lights glowed warm in the kitchen windows. Through the glass, I could see Daniel moving, Jennifer leaning against the counter, my home, my family, my betrayers. I checked my watch. Patricia would still be in her office. I'd call her after dinner, after I'd played my part convincingly enough. I gripped the steering wheel, took a controlled breath, rehearsed the expression I'd wear. Pleased, tired, content. The mask of a woman who suspected nothing. Then I opened the car door and stepped out into the cooling air. My shoes clicked on the concrete driveway. The front door seemed farther away than usual, but I reached it, hand on the handle. Voices inside. Daniel laughing at something Jennifer said. The door opened before I could turn the knob. Mom, you're home. How was the exhibition? Daniel stood in the doorway, his smile wide and warm and absolutely false, now that I knew the truth. I endured dinner, small talk, lies. Daniel asked about the exhibition, and I described paintings I'd barely registered. Jennifer mentioned her Vancouver trip went well, and I nodded as though I believed her. Their daughter, Emma, my granddaughter, ate silently, eyes on her phone screen, a ghost at her own table. At 9:30, after they'd retired to their room, I closed myself in the guest room they'd given me. The room felt different now, contaminated. How many times had Jennifer photographed this space, documenting chaos they'd created? How many conversations had they recorded, twisting my words into evidence of decline? I pulled Angela's flash drive from my pocket, locked it in my nightstand drawer alongside the folder from my car. Then I picked up my phone and dialed Patricia Reed. She answered on the second ring. Catherine, everything all right? Patricia, I need legal counsel immediately. I kept my voice low, aware of the thin walls. My son and daughter-in-law are building a case to declare me incompetent. I have evidence. Silence stretched for 3 seconds. Then Patricia's voice came back, stripped of casual warmth, pure professional focus. Catherine, listen carefully. Don't sign anything. Don't discuss your finances or assets with anyone in your household. Come to my office at 8 tomorrow morning. Bring everything you have. I will. And Catherine, don't let them know you're suspicious. Act normal. Can you do that? I thought of 28 years in courtrooms maintaining prosecutorial neutrality through testimony designed to manipulate emotion. I can do that. Good. 8 sharp will handle this. Morning came after a sleepless night spent cataloging evidence in my mind. I left the house at 7:30, telling Daniel I had errands downtown. He smiled, kissed my cheek, asked if I needed help finding parking. I remember where the parking garages are, Daniel. Something flickered in his expression, too quick to interpret. Of course you do, Mom. Drive safe. Patricia's office occupied the 12th floor of a glass tower in downtown Seattle. I'd been here dozens of times over the years, but never as a client. The receptionist recognized me, offered coffee, led me to the conference room where Patricia waited. She'd aged well like me. Silver hair, sharp eyes, the bearing of someone who'd spent decades in courtrooms. We shook hands, and she gestured to the leather chair across from her. "Show me what you have." I laid out Angela's folder. Patricia studied each photograph methodically, making notes on a legal pad. When I handed her the flash drive, she plugged it into her laptop and watched the surveillance footage in silence. Her jaw tightened as she reviewed the audio recordings. Daniel and Jennifer discussing their timeline. Jennifer coaching the corrupt doctor on what testimony to provide. "This is conspiracy to commit fraud," Patricia said finally, her voice controlled but hard. "Elder abuse, possibly criminal. We need to move fast, document your competency, protect your assets, and gather evidence of their activities. If they file first, you're fighting defensively." She outlined the strategy with military precision. First, comprehensive medical evaluations from 3 independent physicians, neurologist, psychiatrist, general practitioner, all with unimpeachable reputations. Second, asset protection measures to prevent them from accessing or controlling my property. Third, continued surveillance to document their ongoing conspiracy. "How long before they could file?" I asked. 2 weeks, maybe 3. Judge Anderson moves quickly when she sees medical evidence. We use that time to fortress your assets and prepare countermeasures. When they move, we'll be ready. The next 5 days became a rotation through medical offices. Tuesday morning, I sat in a neurologist's examination room completing cognitive assessment tests, pattern recognition, memory exercises, problem-solving tasks. The doctor, a woman in her 50s named Dr. Elizabeth Harding, watched me work through each challenge with professional attention. "Ms. Thompson, your cognitive function is excellent," she said afterward, reviewing her notes. "Memory sharp, reasoning clear, no signs of impairment whatsoever. I'll have the written evaluation completed by tomorrow. For a woman your age, you're remarkably sharp." Wednesday brought the psychiatrist. Thursday, the general practitioner. Each evaluation confirmed what I already knew: I was completely competent. Each doctor would provide formal documentation stating so. Between appointments, I returned home to maintain the facade. And now, with new awareness, I recognized every manipulation tactic they employed. Jennifer moved my reading glasses from the bedside table to the kitchen counter, then found them an hour later with exaggerated concern. "Mom, you left these in the strangest place. Do you remember putting them there?" "I must have been distracted," I said. Though I'd watched her move them through my bedroom doorway mirror, Daniel mentioned appointments I'd never made, implying memory gaps. "Weren't you supposed to meet someone today? You seemed concerned about it yesterday." "I have no appointment scheduled." Must have misunderstood. They spoke loudly as though I were hard of hearing. They exchanged meaningful glances when I hesitated over any decision, even simple ones like choosing what to wear. Each gesture, each comment, each staged incident, I cataloged them all in a written log I kept locked in my nightstand drawer. Dates, times, exact words. The prosecutor's habit of precise record-keeping. At breakfast Friday morning, Jennifer brought up living arrangements again. "Mom, I was thinking, this house is so much work for one person eventually. Have you considered somewhere smaller, more manageable? There are lovely communities for active seniors, more social opportunities, less responsibility. I manage fine, Jennifer. I've lived independently for 63 years. I'm not going anywhere. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Of course, just thinking ahead, planning for the future. That afternoon, Angela called with updated intelligence. I took the call from my car parked in a grocery store lot. "More information on Daniel," she said, voice crisp. "Gambling debts. $35,000 to a private lender, $70,000 in personal loans from 3 different sources, $85,000 in failed business investments. He's drowning financially. Jennifer maxed out 7 credit cards. Luxury purchases, spa treatments, designer clothes, expensive vacations. They need money immediately." The numbers painted a clear picture: desperation, urgency. My house worth $970,000, my savings and pension worth another $400,000, represented their salvation, and I was the obstacle between them and financial survival. "Keep watching them," I said. "Document everything." Already on it. By week's end, I sat in Patricia's office for our final strategy session. Medical reports spread before us, all confirming competency. Patricia slid a fresh document across her desk. Asset Protection Plan, Phase 1 complete. Now we protect what's yours before they can touch it. I picked up the pen, began reading the transfer documents. Outside the office window, Seattle rain began falling. Soft and steady, Patricia continued, her voice carrying the satisfaction I recognized from years of courtroom victories. "Tomorrow we move your money. Then we talk to your daughter, Sophia, about the house. They won't know what hit them." Monday morning, I walked into Seattle First National Bank, not my usual branch. The banker, a composed woman named Ms. Richardson, led me to a private office with frosted glass walls. "Ms. Thompson, we're moving $420,000 from your accounts at Pacific Banking to this new account," she said, typing efficiently. "The transfers will complete within 48 hours. You'll receive confirmation documents." Perfect. I watched the screen, seeing decades of savings, pension deposits, careful investments reduced to numbers on a display, and this account remains solely in my name? Correct. No joint access, no secondary authorization, complete privacy. Only you have access. I signed the authorization forms with steady hands. Each signature moved money beyond Daniel and Jennifer's reach. By Wednesday evening, $420,000 sat in an account they didn't know existed. I left $25,000 in the original accounts, enough for household expenses if needed, not enough to raise immediate suspicion. Financial Foundation, secured Thursday morning, brought the more complex maneuver. I met Patricia and Sophia at her office. My younger daughter looked worried, angry, ready for answers. I slid the folder containing the house deed across the conference table to her. "Your brother and his wife plan to declare me incompetent, gain conservatorship, and sell the house," Patricia explained, her voice matter of fact. "By transferring 50% ownership to you, we prevent that. They can't sell property they don't fully control." Sophia's face shifted from confusion to understanding to fury. "Daniel would do this? Put you in a home and steal everything?" She turned to me, her eyes fierce. "What do you need me to do?" "Co-own the house, sign the transfer documents, help me protect what I built." I met her gaze steadily. "Your brother made his choice. I'm making mine. I'll do it whatever you need, Mom." Friday afternoon, we sat in a notary's office. The notary, an older man with precise movements, reviewed our identification and the deed transfer documents. "I need to verify you're both entering this property transfer voluntarily, without coercion." He looked at me directly. "Ms. Thompson, you understand you're gifting 50% ownership to your daughter, Sophia?" "Completely voluntary, completely intentional." We signed in blue ink. The notary stamped each page with his official seal, the sound sharp in the quiet office. 50% of the $970,000 house, valued at $485,000, transferred to Sophia as a gift within annual gift tax exemption limits. Completely legal. The documents went to the county recorder's office that same afternoon, property now jointly owned. Daniel and Jennifer had no idea half their anticipated inheritance had just become their sisters. Monday brought the final protection layer. I sat in an estate attorney's office with Patricia present as witness. The attorney, a meticulous man named Howard Chen, laid out the new will. This explicitly excludes your son, Daniel, and his family from inheritance, he said, reviewing each page. Once signed, your previous will is void. Are you certain? Absolutely certain. Sophia inherits everything. Daniel gets nothing. Put that in writing. I initialed each page, signed the final page with 2 witnesses present. The attorney sealed the document in an envelope marked Last Will and Testament, Catherine Thompson, March 2025. Another fortress wall complete. At home, the tension escalated daily. Jennifer became more aggressive, Daniel more insistent. They were running out of time, their debts crushing them, their solutions slipping away though they couldn't understand why. Comments became less subtle. You really should consider a professional care evaluation, Mom. People your age need advocates to protect them from bad decisions. We only want what's best for you. Tuesday evening at dinner, Jennifer abandoned all pretense. She slid glossy brochures across the table toward me. Expensive retirement communities, full care facilities with smiling elderly residents photographed in manicured gardens. Catherine, we need to talk seriously about your future. Her voice carried barely restrained aggression. I've researched excellent facilities, full medical care, activities, community. You'd be much happier, much safer. We could tour this weekend. Daniel leaned forward, his rehearsed concern thick in his voice. Mom, we're worried. The house is too much responsibility. What if something happens? What if you fall or forget something important? Let us help you make smart decisions now, before it's too late. Before what, Daniel? I pushed the brochures back across the table untouched. Before I become incompetent? I'm not. I won't be. This is my house. I'm staying. I make my own decisions about my life, my health, and my property. Is that clear? The room froze. Emma looked up from her phone for the first time in weeks. Jennifer's face darkened. You're being unreasonable. We're trying to help you. You don't understand the complexities of asset management at your age. I stood, ending the conversation with finality. I understand perfectly. I was a prosecutor for 28 years. I know exactly what I'm doing. This discussion is over. I walked to my room, closed the door, locked it. Behind me, silence stretched for 10 seconds before Jennifer's chair scraped back violently. Late that evening, I sat at my small desk, door still locked. Jennifer's raised voice carried from the master bedroom down the hall. Angry phone call, words indistinct, but tone crystal clear. Rage, frustration. Daniel's voice joined, sharp and defensive. Their plan wasn't working, and they knew it. I opened my nightstand drawer, pulled out the folder Patricia had given me, copies of all financial transfers, property deed showing Sophia's co-ownership, new will excluding Daniel completely, everything documented, everything legal, everything done. I locked the folder back just as footsteps approached my door. Sharp knock, demanding, "Mom, we need to talk right now." Daniel's voice was tight with controlled fury. I looked at the locked door, at the folder in my drawer, at my phone where Patricia's number waited on speed dial. My hand reached toward the door handle. The war had officially begun, and I'd already won the first 3 battles. The question was whether to open the door or let him stand in the hallway, fuming I didn't open the door that night, or any night after. The house became a war zone, silent, cold, hostile. In the weeks following that confrontation, Jennifer abandoned all pretense. No more false courtesy. No more manufactured concern. Just open aggression. People your age lose their minds and don't even know it, she said one morning, blocking the hallway as I headed for the kitchen. You're making decisions you're not capable of making. Move, I said coldly. You need supervision before you hurt yourself. I stepped around her without responding. Daniel watched from the living room, arms crossed, no longer bothering with smiles. They began controlling my movements. Daniel took my car keys one Tuesday morning, plucked them from the counter as I reached for them. I'm holding on to these, Mom. He pocketed them despite my protests. Yesterday, you nearly hit the neighbor's fence pulling in. At your age, reaction time declines. It's not safe. I didn't nearly hit anything. Give me my keys. This isn't negotiable. It's for your safety and everyone else on the road. I'd driven perfectly. The lie was calculated, documented, probably more manufactured evidence. Jennifer started monitoring my phone calls. I'd be speaking with a friend or former colleague, and suddenly the extension would click on, Mom, who are you talking to? Her voice saccharine sweet. Just a friend. Well, don't talk too long. You know how confused you get with complicated conversations. They suggested I shouldn't go out alone, checked my bedroom at night to make sure I was okay. Every action designed to build their narrative while isolating me from outside help. But they underestimated one thing. I'd been a prosecutor. I knew how evidence worked. One Wednesday morning, I returned from a supervised walk with Daniel to find my bedroom door ajar. I'd locked it. Always locked it now. The papers on my desk had been disturbed, shuffled differently than I'd left them. My jewelry box showed fresh scratches around the lock mechanism someone had tried prying it open with a tool. I checked my closet safe. More scratches on the combination dial. The safe hadn't been breached. They'd failed, but the attempt was clear. Jennifer searching for financial documents, asset information, anything she could use. I photographed everything with my phone. Door lock, jewelry box, safe. Sent the images to Patricia with timestamps. Criminal intent documented. That afternoon, Angela called. Catherine, Jennifer filed the petition 4 days ago at the county courthouse. Her voice carried urgency I'd rarely heard. She's using an evaluation from Dr. Walsh. Claims you have significant cognitive impairment, memory loss, can't manage your affairs. It's complete fiction, but it's sworn. Testimony hearing is April 22nd. April 22nd. 3 weeks away. Less than 3 weeks, I said, feeling the timeline compress. There's more. Angela paused. I pulled security footage from the Seattle Art Museum from March when I first approached you. Jennifer was there, Catherine, following you, taking photos from across the gallery. Remember the woman by the sculptures I warned you about? The memory returned sharp and clear. The stranger who'd given me the warning note. Angela pointing towards someone watching. Jennifer on her phone, supposedly in Vancouver. That was her, Angela continued. She's been building this case for months, documenting supposedly erratic behavior. Every moment calculated. Jennifer at the museum. Jennifer the watcher. Jennifer manufacturing evidence while I'd been oblivious, admiring art, thinking I'd found peace in retirement. The woman by the sculptures, my own daughter-in-law. I called Patricia immediately, explained the timeline. She scheduled an emergency meeting for that evening. At her office, we spread everything across the conference table. My medical evaluations proving competency. Angela's surveillance showing their conspiracy. Audio recordings of their planning sessions. Financial documents exposing Daniel's debts. She stood as I entered, blocking my path to my room. Daniel appeared beside her. We filed papers with the court, Catherine. Jennifer's voice carried threat beneath false concern. Competency evaluation. They'll appoint a conservator. Someone to manage your affairs. Make proper decisions. You need supervision. Professional care. This is happening whether you cooperate or not. Daniel nodded, defensive. We're doing this because we love you, Mom. Because you can't see what's happening to you. Someone has to protect you from yourself. I met Jennifer's eyes, let silence stretch between us, then spoke ice cold. "I'll see you in court, both of you." Jennifer's face registered shock. "You knew? How long have you—" I walked past them toward my room. "Long enough. Court will decide who needs protection from whom." The following 3 weeks passed in intense preparation. I spent days reviewing evidence with Patricia, preparing testimony, practicing responses to questions I knew Jennifer's attorney would ask Daniel, and Jennifer and I barely spoke, passing in hallways without acknowledgement. Emma stayed away, spending more time with friends than home, sensing the war but not understanding the stakes. I documented every interaction, every threat, every restriction they imposed. The log grew thicker daily, evidence mounting like pressure behind a dam. The evening before the hearing, I sat in Patricia's office for final preparation. The conference table was covered with folders, medical evaluations, surveillance footage stills, financial documents, audio recordings. "Tomorrow, Judge Anderson will see everything," Patricia said, reviewing testimony strategy. "Your competency evaluations, their conspiracy, Dr. Walsh's fraud. Speak clearly. Answer directly. Let the evidence work." I nodded, calm despite the stakes. Decades in courtrooms had prepared me for this. This was my world. The door opened. Patricia's paralegal entered with a document. "Dr. Walsh's financial records just arrived." She placed the folder on the table. "You were right. Jennifer paid her $18,000 3 weeks before the evaluation." Patricia smiled grimly. "Now we have them." I stood, gathering my copies of evidence. Tomorrow, justice. I walked to the office window, looked out at Seattle's evening light spreading across the city. Somewhere out there, Daniel and Jennifer were preparing their case, confident in their lies. My reflection stared back from the dark glass, steady and resolved. "See you tomorrow." Morning came. I dressed in a dark navy suit. Courtroom attire. Patricia met me at the courthouse entrance. King County Courthouse rose 12 stories of concrete and glass, holding decades of Seattle's legal battles. I'd walked these halls hundreds of times as a prosecutor. Now I entered as defendant. We took the elevator to the 4th floor. Courtroom 4B, Judge Anderson presiding. Inside, the familiar architecture of justice wooden benches, raised judge's bench, Washington state flag in the corner. Daniel and Jennifer sat at the petitioner's table with their attorney, a thin man named Wilson. They wore expressions of false concern, worried family members seeking to protect a fragile elder. I sat beside Patricia at the respondent's table, relaxed, ready, all rise. Judge Anderson entered, a gray-haired woman in her 60s. I knew her slightly. Competent judge, experienced in elder law, watchful for fraud. She settled into her chair, reviewed the file briefly. "Be seated. In the matter of Daniel Thompson and Jennifer Thompson petitioning for conservatorship of Catherine Thompson, Mr. Wilson, present your case." Wilson stood. "Your Honor, petitioners seek conservatorship based on significant cognitive decline. Medical evidence will show respondent can no longer safely manage her affairs or make sound decisions. We ask the court to appoint a conservator for her protection." He called Dr. Walsh to the stand. The doctor looked nervous. Adjusting her blazer as she took the oath, Wilson led her through direct testimony. "I evaluated Ms. Thompson on March 20th. Walsh said, reading from notes. "She demonstrated concerning symptoms, memory lapses, confusion about recent events, difficulty following conversation. In my professional opinion, she shows clear signs of dementia. She requires supervised care and should not manage financial matters independently." Wilson nodded. "In your expert medical opinion, does Ms. Thompson need a conservator?" "Yes, immediately, for her own protection." "Thank you, doctor. No further questions." Patricia stood for cross-examination. Her movements were deliberate, measured. "Dr. Walsh, how long was your evaluation session with Ms. Thompson?" "Approximately 45 minutes." 45 minutes. Patricia let that hang. Did you administer standardized cognitive assessment tests? Montreal Cognitive Assessment, Mini Mental State Examination? Walsh shifted. Time constraints didn't allow comprehensive testing. So no standardized tests. No. Patricia moved closer. Did you receive $18,000 from Jennifer Thompson on February 28th, 3 weeks before this evaluation? The courtroom went still. Walsh stammered. Jennifer owed me money from— Yes or no, doctor? $18,000 3 weeks before the evaluation. Did you receive payment from the woman seeking conservatorship of your patient? Walsh's voice dropped. Yes. Your Honor, Patricia said, turning to Judge Anderson. Defense presents documented payment between petitioner and supposed expert witness, demonstrating financial incentive for predetermined diagnosis. Judge Anderson's expression hardened. She made notes. Counsel, present your evidence. Patricia opened the first folder. Your Honor, defense presents 3 independent medical evaluations of Catherine Thompson conducted in March 2025. Dr. Elizabeth Harding, neurologist, finds no cognitive impairment. Dr. Robert Kim, psychiatrist, confirms normal mental status. Dr. Sarah Thompson, general practitioner, reports excellent cognitive function for her age. All 3 doctors' findings directly contradict Dr. Walsh's claims. Judge Anderson examined the documents carefully. These are comprehensive evaluations, standardized testing, multiple sessions. Continue. Patricia activated the courtroom screen. Defense also presents surveillance evidence. This video shows Daniel Thompson and Jennifer Thompson deliberately creating disorder in respondent's bedroom, then photographing it. The footage played Jennifer moving papers, Daniel scattering documents, both taking photos with their phones. The timestamp clear. March 18, 2025. This audio recording captures their conversation planning to, quote, declare the old woman incompetent and get control of the house. Their voices filled the courtroom. Jennifer, once we have conservatorship, we can sell the house, pay off everything. Fresh start. Daniel, how long before the hearing? Jennifer, Anderson moves fast, 3 weeks, maybe 4. Judge Anderson's jaw tightened. Your Honor, defense calls Catherine Thompson to testify. I stood, walked to the witness stand, took the oath. My voice was steady, clear. Patricia led me through background. My career as senior prosecutor, 28 years in King County. My awareness of Daniel and Jennifer's financial situation, their systematic manipulation attempts. Ms. Thompson, you're aware these proceedings allege you cannot manage your own affairs? I'm aware the allegations are false. I've proactively protected my assets, documented their fraud, and retained legal counsel. Those aren't actions of an incompetent person. Judge Anderson leaned forward. Ms. Thompson, walk me through your daily routine. What did you do yesterday? I described my morning walk, reading the newspaper, reviewing legal documents with Patricia, preparing testimony, cooking dinner, every detail precise, every memory clear. The judge nodded. Mr. Daniel Thompson, take the stand. Daniel approached reluctantly. Judge Anderson didn't wait for Wilson's questions. Mr. Thompson, I've heard an audio recording of your voice stating, we need to get her declared incompetent before she changes the will. Explain this statement. Daniel fumbled. That was taken out of context. We were just concerned about her welfare. Context appears clear, Mr. Thompson. You discussed legal strategy to gain control of assets, not medical concern. Daniel had no answer. Judge Anderson reviewed her notes for 30 seconds. Then she spoke, her voice carrying the weight of judicial authority. Petition denied. Ms. Catherine Thompson demonstrates full mental capacity. Evidence suggests petitioners engaged in conspiracy to defraud and elder abuse. I'm referring this matter to the district attorney. Dr. Walsh, the medical board will receive full transcript dismissed. The gavel fell. Daniel and Jennifer sat frozen. Their attorney gathered papers quickly, preparing to exit. In the courthouse hallway, Jennifer approached me, anger breaking through shock. "You set us up. You knew everything from the beginning." I faced her calmly. "I was a prosecutor for 28 years, Jennifer. You tried to use the legal system against me in my world. Did you really believe you'd succeed?" She had no response. Daniel pulled her away. They disappeared down the hallway, their attorney already gone. Patricia shook my hand. "Complete victory. Petition dismissed. Criminal referral filed. Doctor facing investigation." I nodded but showed no triumph. "They still live in my house, Patricia. This isn't over." Her expression turned serious. Then we moved to phase 2. We stood on the courthouse steps, afternoon sun breaking through Seattle clouds. Patricia reviewed next steps. District attorney will investigate. Criminal charges possible, elder abuse, fraud, conspiracy. Dr. Walsh will lose her license. Daniel and Jennifer face serious consequences. "They still have keys to my house," I said quietly. "Court victory doesn't change that I share a roof with people who tried to steal my life." Patricia pulled out her phone. Then we filed the papers, civil lawsuit for damages, eviction proceedings. We removed them legally, permanently. Below us, Daniel and Jennifer stood on the sidewalk, conferring urgently with Wilson. The attorney shook his head, walked away, abandoning them. They stood alone, defeated, but still dangerous. I turned to Patricia. "File the papers. Lawsuit for emotional damages and attempted fraud. Start eviction process. I want them out." Patricia began dialing. The call connected. "Linda, prepare 2 filings, civil suit and eviction notice." 2 weeks after court victory, I set the next phase in motion. Patricia filed the paperwork. Process server found them at home midday Tuesday. I wasn't there when the doorbell rang, but Patricia called afterward to describe Jennifer's face when she opened the envelope. The color draining, the hands trembling. 2 documents inside. First, demand for back rent. $3,000 per month for 18 months of occupancy. Total, $54,000. Second, civil suit for emotional damages from conspiracy and attempted elder abuse. Total, $95,000. Combined claim, $149,000. "They can't pay," I said to Patricia that afternoon in her office. "Correct." She spread the legal filings across her conference table. "Washington unjust enrichment law is clear. They occupied your property for 18 months without compensation. Fair market rent is $3,000 monthly. That's $54,000 total. Emotional damages are documented through their conspiracy. Your stress, the court case. Both claims are solid." "How long?" Patricia smiled grimly. 20 days notice required by Washington law. We send demand now. File eviction mid-May. Hearing early June. Enforcement by end of June. They're out by July. I reviewed the documents methodically. Signed the authorization forms. Each signature another step toward reclaiming my life. Not driven by anger, by arithmetic. Cause and consequence. Daniel's situation collapsed rapidly after that. His employer, a mid-sized real estate firm, terminated him when the court proceedings became public elder abuse investigation, made him a liability. No one wants management accused of defrauding family members. No income. $215,000 in existing debt. Now $149,000 in new claims. Creditors intensified collection efforts. Threatening calls starting at 8 in the morning. Demand letters arriving daily. Jennifer's credit cards all maxed at $68,000 total. They were financially destroyed. They couldn't hire an attorney to defend against my suits, could barely afford food. 4 days after the papers were served, Jennifer called Sophia. I heard about it from my younger daughter that evening. "She begged, Mom," Sophia said, voice tight with controlled anger. "Said you were being cruel, vindictive, destroying the family. Asked for money, for a loan, for a place to stay." "What did you tell her?" "That she tried to steal your house and commit fraud, that she's not a victim. She's a criminal who got caught, that I wouldn't help her escape consequences of her own choices. Sophia paused. She called me heartless. Then she hung up. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. Don't be. She made her bed. Now she sleeps in it. The household atmosphere became unbearable. Daniel drank heavily, started before noon most days. His aggression surfaced in vicious comments whenever we passed in hallways. Jennifer alternated between crying and screaming accusations. One evening, she cornered me in the kitchen. How can you be so cruel? Tears streaked her face, mascara running black. He's your son. We're your family. We needed that money. We have debts, problems. You never cared about that. I set down my coffee cup carefully. You stopped being my family when you decided I was worth more to you institutionalized than free. You made a calculation. You lost. Accept it. We needed help. I care about justice. You're experiencing consequences of your own actions. That's not cruelty, that's accountability. She screamed something incoherent and fled upstairs. Daniel appeared in the doorway, drunk, swaying slightly. You're destroying us, he said, voice thick. No, you destroyed yourselves. I'm simply not preventing the collapse. He left without responding. Emma came to my room one evening, knocked quietly. I let her in. Grandma, why are you doing this? She asked. They're still your family. I considered the question seriously. She deserved honesty. They planned to institutionalize me falsely, steal my home, and leave me powerless. When family betrays you this completely, what remains? I'm holding them accountable. That's not cruelty, that's justice. Emma looked at the floor. I knew something was wrong. I didn't stop them. I'm sorry. You're 17. You stayed silent, but you didn't participate. Learn from this, Emma. Choose your own path. You're not responsible for their choices. I'm moving out, going to my aunt's in Portland. I can't watch this anymore. That's wise. Take care of yourself. She left 2 days later. Early morning, a note on the kitchen counter. One less person I'd have to evict. Late May, Daniel confronted me in the hallway drunk, aggressive, desperate. You can't throw us out. We have nowhere to go. You're going to make your own son homeless. I didn't look up from my book. You were going to institutionalize me and sell my house. You'd have made me homeless, except I actually built this home. You tried to steal it. We needed that money. You don't understand. I finally looked at him, ice cold. I understand you committed fraud. I understand you face criminal investigation. I understand Washington law allows me to evict non-paying occupants, which is what you are. Leave me alone. He stood there shaking with rage for 10 seconds, then turned and left. The next morning, Patricia called. Catherine, they haven't responded to the demand. No payment, no contact, no attorney. Ready to proceed with eviction filing? I didn't hesitate. File it. I want them out. That afternoon, Patricia and I went to the county courthouse. She submitted the eviction paperwork to the clerk's office. Form stamped, case number assigned, hearing date scheduled for mid-June. The clerk handed Patricia the official copy. 20-day notice must be served immediately. Patricia nodded, already had the drafted notice in her briefcase. We walked down the courthouse steps into afternoon sunlight. Across the street, I spotted Daniel's car parked outside a bar. 2 in the afternoon on a weekday. He's falling apart, I said. Patricia followed my gaze. They both are. This ends one way, them leaving voluntarily or the sheriff removing them forcibly. Their choice, which? She pulled out her phone, called the process server. Need eviction notice served today. Yes, same address as before. I watched the courthouse doors revolve with other people's legal problems, knowing my own solution approached. Patricia confirmed into the phone, then turned to me. Server will deliver notice within 2 hours, June 20th. That's their deadline after that. She didn't finish. Didn't need to. 20 days passed slowly. They stayed, angry and desperate. June 20th arrived, eviction day. I woke knowing it would end today. Patricia arrived at 9 carrying her briefcase and legal documents. We sat in the living room while the house remained silent above us. Daniel and Jennifer knew what was coming. They'd had 20 days to prepare, but I'd seen no evidence of packing until yesterday afternoon. At 10 o'clock precisely, the doorbell rang. 2 sheriff's deputies stood on the porch, professional and calm. One held a clipboard with the court order. The other surveyed the property with experienced eyes. He'd done this before, many times. I watched from the living room doorway as Jennifer answered, already looking defeated. The deputy spoke clearly. "Ms. Thompson, we're here to execute a court-ordered eviction. You have 2 hours to remove your belongings from the premises. After that, any remaining items become property of the homeowner." Jennifer took a step forward, body language aggressive. "You can't do this. This is our home. We've lived here 18 months. I'll fight this." The deputy remained unmoved. "Ma'am, the court has ruled you must vacate. Resistance will result in arrest. Step back, please." "I'm not going anywhere. That old woman can't throw us out. The deputy raised his hand, spoke into his radio. "Need police backup at this location. Resident refusing eviction order and making threats." Within 5 minutes, 2 city police officers arrived. One approached Jennifer with calm authority. "Ma'am, I need you to calm down immediately. You're being given a lawful order to vacate. You have 2 choices. Leave peacefully or be arrested for trespassing and interfering with a court order. Which will it be?" Jennifer backed down, shoulders slumping. "Fine, we'll leave. But this isn't over." "Actually, ma'am, it is. And if you return to this property without permission, you'll be arrested immediately. Do you understand?" Jennifer nodded, hatred burning in her eyes as she looked past the officers toward where I stood watching. Daniel appeared on the stairs, moving like a ghost through rooms he'd occupied for 18 months. He touched furniture, picked up framed photographs, set them down again. His eyes were bloodshot, his movements unsteady. He approached me, desperate. "Mom, please don't do this. I'm your son. We made mistakes, but we're family. Where are we supposed to go?" I met his eyes without flinching. "You tried to have me declared incompetent. You forged medical documents. You planned to institutionalize me and sell my house. You stopped being my son when you became my enemy. We needed help. We have debts, problems. You never cared about that. You only care about yourself. I care about justice. You're experiencing consequences of your own actions. That's not cruelty. That's accountability." He screamed at me. Heartless, cold, vindictive. Words dissolving into rage, Patricia stepped between us. "Mr. Thompson, you need to continue packing. You have limited time. Use it." The next 2 hours passed in systematic removal. Daniel and Jennifer loaded belongings into a rented moving truck parked in the driveway. Furniture, clothes, personal items, though not much. They'd accumulated little in 18 months, spent money rather than saved it. Neighbors watched from windows. I didn't care. Daniel made multiple trips, each time shooting venomous glares toward my living room window. Jennifer cried throughout but kept packing. They barely spoke to each other, the pressure fracturing their relationship too. "Where's Emma?" Jennifer asked one deputy at some point. "Why isn't she helping?" "She left weeks ago," Daniel snapped at her. "Went to her aunt's. Everyone's abandoning us. Even my own daughter left me." "Shut up and pack, we don't have time for your drama," Jennifer hissed back. I observed from my window, expression neutral. When external enemies disappear, allies become targets. Predictable. By early afternoon, the truck was loaded. They'd rented a small apartment in South Seattle, Daniel had mentioned to the deputies. Cheap, barely adequate, all they could afford on nothing. Daniel climbed into the driver's seat. Jennifer took one last look at the house, at me standing in the doorway. She opened her mouth. "Apology?" Curse? But nothing came. She turned away, got into the passenger seat. The engine started. The truck pulled away down the street, gone. The deputy approached with completion paperwork. Ms. Thompson, the sheriff's office has completed eviction enforcement. Residents have vacated. Property is now exclusively in your possession. Here's your copy. Patricia shook hands with both deputies. Thank you, officers. We appreciate your professionalism. After they left, Patricia turned to me. It's done. Your home is yours again. They have no legal right to return. If they try, it's criminal trespass. Immediate arrest. I nodded slowly. 18 months. 18 months living with people who wanted me gone. Now they are. How it should have been. You protected yourself. You used the law properly. You have nothing to feel guilty about. I don't feel guilty. I feel relieved and tired. Very tired. Patricia left shortly after. I walked through the empty house alone. Their former bedroom was messy, damaged, disrespectful, even in departure. I'd hire cleaners tomorrow, repair what needed fixing, make it mine again, completely. I returned to the living room, sat in my chair, looked at a framed photograph of younger Daniel from years ago, before greed, before betrayal. I opened the side table drawer, placed the photo inside, face down, closed it. Past was past. I pulled out the legal documents Patricia had left eviction completion, trespass warning, civil judgment still unpaid. $149,000 they'd never pay. I didn't care about the money anymore. I'd wanted my home, my freedom, my peace. I'd gotten all three. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, then answered. Mom, Jennifer's voice, small and broken. My finger hovered over the disconnect button, decision unmade. I just wanted to say... I disconnected the call, and the next one, and every one after. Days became weeks. She kept trying. I kept refusing. The house required work. 18 months of occupation had left marks. Scuffed walls, stained carpets, broken fixtures, general neglect. The week after eviction, Sophia arrived with cleaning supplies and a contractor's number. Let's fix this, she said simply. We spent July transforming the space. Sophia painted the living room while I replaced broken door hinges. We hired professionals for major repairs. New carpet in the hallway, refinished hardwood in the dining room, fresh tile in the bathroom Jennifer had damaged. But we handled the smaller work ourselves, scrubbing and painting side by side. 18 months they lived here and treated it like this. Sophia examined a hole punched in the bedroom wall. Your own son. I tested the damaged drywall with my fingers. They never saw it as home. They saw it as an asset to liquidate. Different perspective creates different behavior. I'm glad we're fixing it together, making it yours again. Ours. Thank you for helping, and for hiring Angela. Without that warning at the museum, I might not have protected myself in time. She nodded, returned to painting. My phone continued ringing. Jennifer's number, always. I'd glance at the screen, watch it light up, wait for it to stop, delete the voicemail notification without listening. Patricia had advised against contact could complicate legal proceedings still finalizing. I didn't need the excuse. I had no desire to hear her voice. Patricia provided updates through legal channels. Daniel had been fired from a new job. The scandal followed him. Elder abuse investigation, a matter of public record. No employer wanted the liability. Jennifer lost her position at the medical clinic. Reputation destroyed in the medical community. Their cheap apartment barely affordable. Debts crushing them. Daniel's drinking has increased, Patricia reported during one meeting. Arguments audible to neighbors. Marriage fracturing. I signed documents she'd spread across my dining table without comment. They destroyed my family. Now they destroyed each other. I felt no satisfaction in their suffering, but no pity either. Natural consequences. Mid-August, an email arrived from Emma. Brief, awkward, but genuine grandma. I moved in with Aunt Lisa. Going back to school in the fall, working part-time. I'm sorry I didn't speak up when I should have. I was a coward. I hope you're doing okay. I'm trying to do better. I showed it to Sophia during our evening painting session. Think she means it? She asked, reading. Maybe. She's young. People can change. Or they can't. Time shows the truth. I filed the email away. Maybe Emma learned something. Maybe not. A handwritten letter arrived from Jennifer, forwarded through Patricia's office to avoid direct contact. Several pages substantial. I held the envelope, contemplated opening it. Whatever she'd written, apology, justification, plea, didn't matter. Written words couldn't undo conspiracy and betrayal. I slid it into my desk drawer, unopened. Patricia visited with final settlement documents in late August. They declared bankruptcy, she explained, reviewing papers. Court extracted $62,000 before protection kicked in. Rest is uncollectible. You'll never see the full judgment. I signed the papers with steady hands. I didn't do this for money. I did it for my freedom and my home, both achieved. Criminal investigation remains open. DA hasn't filed charges yet. Elder abuse cases compete with violent crimes for resources. They may still face charges, or they may not. Either way, they're gone. That's what mattered. Patricia hesitated. You should know. Jennifer has been calling my office too, asking me to convince you to talk to her. I've declined to relay messages. Good. Keep declining. I have nothing to say to her. Angela Martinez delivered her final report the following day. Comprehensive documentation, timeline of surveillance, evidence collected, case notes, professional closure. You did excellent work, Angela. I accepted the thick-bound report. Thorough, professional, timely. You gave me the advantage I needed. Your daughter, Sophia, hired me smart woman. She sensed something wrong and acted on instinct. That saved you. I'm aware. I'm lucky in at least one daughter. We shook hands. She left. I filed the report away, knowing I'd probably never need it again, but grateful to have it. That evening, Sophia and I sat in the renovated living room with tea. Fresh paint still faintly scented the air. She looked at me seriously. Mom, I want to thank you. Not just for protecting the house, for showing me it's okay to set boundaries, even with family, especially with family. Family means different things to different people, I said quietly. To Jennifer, it meant access to resources. To Daniel, it meant opportunity for exploitation. To you, it means something better. To me, it means loyalty, support, truth. You gave me all of those. Daniel and Jennifer gave you none. They made their choices. You made yours. Both of you live with consequences. I'm glad you chose yourself, Sophia said. You taught me I can do the same if I ever need to. I hope you never need to, I said quietly. But if you do, remember, choosing yourself isn't selfish. Sometimes it's survival. She hugged me then. Rare physical affection in our relationship, I stiffened briefly before accepting it, patting her back gently. Late August evening, I sat in my renovated bedroom. Fresh paint smell lingered. New lamp cast warm light across refinished furniture. I reviewed Angela's final report one last time before filing it permanently. My phone buzzed Jennifer again. 15th call this week. I watched her name flash on the screen, waited for it to stop. Voicemail notification appeared. I deleted it without listening. As always, I opened the desk drawer to file Angela's report. Saw Jennifer's unopened letter underneath other papers. Pristine envelope. Her handwriting on the front, Catherine, it said. Just that. I considered taking it out, reading it finally. My hand hovered over the envelope. The door opened. Sophia entered carrying 2 mugs of tea. Working late? I closed the drawer, leaving the letter unread. Just finishing up. Final report from Angela. She handed me tea, sat in the chair I'd placed by the window. "Are you happy, Mom, with how this turned out?" I held the warm mug, considering the question seriously. I answered her question the next day and the day after, and every day following through how I lived. Yes. I was happy with the outcome. Final week of August, we prepared the house for a small dinner party. 8 guests: Sophia, Patricia, Angela, and 5 longtime friends from my professional life. Simple meal, good wine, comfortable conversation. Nothing extravagant, just reclaiming the simple pleasure of hosting in my own home without enemies under my roof. Before they arrived, I showed Sophia my bedroom where I'd resumed painting. Easel set up by the window overlooking the garden. Canvas in progress, abstract piece with bold colors, violent strokes of crimson and deep blue, unlike the careful floral watercolors I'd painted before retirement. Started painting again last month. Different style than before. Harder edges, darker tones. Sophia examined the canvas, tilting her head. It's powerful, raw, angry almost. I like it better than your old florals, more honest. Experience changes how you see things. Can't paint innocent views after what happened, but can paint truthful ones. I touched the canvas edge, paint still slightly tacky. These colors come from somewhere real now, knowledge earned. Are you doing a show? Small gallery in October, local venue downtown. Nothing major, just returning to myself, the parts of me that got buried dealing with them. I gestured at the painting. This is what survival looks like in art form. Not pretty, but mine. Patricia arrived early with news, as attorneys tend to do. She set her briefcase on the kitchen counter with the weight of finality. "Final chapter," she said, spreading documents across the granite surface I'd scrubbed clean of their 18 months of neglect. Daniel and Jennifer appealed the civil judgment appeal rejected yesterday. No legal merit whatsoever. Their attorney abandoned them after the bankruptcy filing. Professional ethics, probably no one wants to represent obvious fraud. Criminal charges? DA declined prosecution. Insufficient resources for elder abuse case when no physical harm occurred, frustrating but realistic. Patricia organized the papers with practiced efficiency. Civil system did the job the criminal system couldn't. You won where it mattered. Freedom, home, assets protected, everything that counts. I accepted the outcome calmly. I didn't need them in prison. I needed them gone from my life. Permanently. Accomplished. Daniel's creditors sued separately and won. Forced bankruptcy, liquidated what little assets they had left. Patricia pulled out another document. He and Jennifer are financially destroyed, reputations ruined in this city. She lost her clinic job permanently. He can't find work anywhere in Seattle. Background checks show the elder abuse investigation. Their consequences aren't from you anymore. They're from everyone else now. Society handles the rest. Natural outcomes of their choices? Not my concern anymore. Patricia gathered her papers, then paused. Also, Emma contacted me last week, wants legal advice about emancipation, distancing herself from the family scandal legally. She's starting community college in Portland next month, working part-time at a bookstore, paying her own way. Her Aunt Lisa is helping her build a better foundation, steady guidance without enabling. Good for her. She's young enough to recover, make different choices than her parents made. I felt neither warmth nor coldness toward Emma, just neutral acknowledgement of another person's path. Some people learn, some don't. During party preparation, mail arrived with another envelope from Jennifer. Handwritten again, thicker than the first 10 or 11 pages, I estimated from the weight. I held it a moment, felt the desperation in how carefully she'd written my name, then handed it to Sophia. Read it or not, your choice. I'm done with her words, written or spoken. Sophia considered the envelope, turning it over in her hands, then shook her head firmly. No, if you're not reading it, neither am I. We're moving forward, not back. She had chances, to be honest. 18 months of chances. She chose lies instead. She placed it in the desk drawer with the first unopened letter. 2 chances at reconciliation, Jennifer had written. 2 chances I declined without reading a single word. Some bridges once burned completely stay burned forever. The dinner flowed easily, naturally, like water finding its level. Friends congratulated me on resolving a difficult situation, asked about the renovation progress, admired the results of our work. Conversation avoided dwelling on conspiracy details. Everyone knew the story from news coverage and legal gossip. No need to relive trauma over good food. Instead, we discussed future plans, my art show, Sophia's business expansion into Portland, Patricia's upcoming trial defending a healthcare whistleblower, friends' travels to Scotland and Japan, grandchildren's college choices. Normal conversation, normal life, normal evening, exactly what I'd wanted. Ordinary peace after extraordinary betrayal. The sound of laughter in my home again, genuine and unforced. After dessert, lemon tart Sophia had made from her grandmother's recipe, Patricia raised her glass of wine. To Catherine, who showed us that the best revenge isn't dramatic or violent, it's legal, thorough, and permanent, who used the system correctly and won completely, who proved that justice properly applied is more powerful than rage, to justice itself. I accepted the toast modestly, uncomfortable with praise, even when deserved. I just protected myself, used the tools available, law, evidence, boundaries, nothing dramatic, just necessary survival. Sophia added, raising her own glass, to choosing yourself when choosing others means losing yourself, to knowing when to fight and how to win, to boundaries that protect rather than isolate. To my mother, who taught me strength comes in many forms. Glasses clinked around the table, a quiet moment of satisfaction shared among people who'd stood by me through the hardest months. A friend, Margaret, a longtime colleague from the prosecutor's office, leaned forward with genuine curiosity. Catherine, you handled this with remarkable calm throughout. I don't know if I could have stayed so controlled facing that level of betrayal. How did you maintain that clarity? 28 years as a prosecutor teaches you emotion loses cases, facts win them, every single time. I set down my glass. I treated my own situation like a case I was presiding over, gathered evidence, built strategy, executed plan methodically. Personal feelings had no place in the process. They would have weakened my position. Another friend asked, "Do you think they'll ever understand what they did wrong?" I considered that. Understanding requires accountability. They haven't shown any. Jennifer writes letters I don't read, probably explaining, justifying, seeking absolution without earning it. Daniel drinks and blames everyone else. No, they won't understand, and that's no longer my problem to solve. Guests departed by 10. Warm farewells on the porch I'd pressure washed last month, removing 18 months of accumulated grime. Sophia and I cleaned up together in comfortable silence, broken by occasional comments. That was nice. Normal, like life before everything happened, she said, rinsing dishes I dried while she washed. Old rhythm restored. Better than before, actually. Now I know what I'm capable of handling, what I'm willing to accept, and what I'm absolutely not. That knowledge has value you can't measure. No regrets at all? I paused, considering the question with the seriousness it deserved. About protecting myself? None whatsoever. About losing Daniel? That happened when he chose greed over family, fraud over honesty. I just acknowledged it officially. Can't regret facing truth, only regret ignoring it. I ignored it too long already. She left by 11, hugging me at the door. I walked through the quiet house. My house, truly and completely mine again. Entered my bedroom, sat at the small desk, looked at the drawer containing 2 unopened letters from Jennifer, 20 pages, total of words I'd never read. I considered reading them finally, opening that drawer, breaking those seals, seeing what she'd written in her own desperate hand, then realized I didn't need to. Whatever she'd written, apology, explanation, plea, justification, didn't change the fundamental facts. She'd betrayed me systematically. I'd protected myself thoroughly. Story was over. Verdict rendered. Sentence served. I'd lost a son but saved myself fair trade. Necessary trade. The only trade available. I turned to the window overlooking the garden bathed in moonlight. Peaceful. Just mine. Every blade of grass, every rose bush, every stone on the path. Mine to enjoy without fear, without watching for manipulation, without second-guessing every interaction. I opened my sketchbook to a fresh page, began a rough outline for a new painting. Not abstract this time. Architectural drawing. My house from the front strong lines, solid foundation, clear boundaries. Every room, every wall, every window I defended and reclaimed through law and strategy. Every door that locked against intruders. Every space restored to sanctuary. I labeled it simply at the bottom. Home. Set down the pencil, leaned back in my chair, looked at the desk drawer containing those unopened letters. 2 chances at her redemption I'd declined. Some would call it cold, unforgiving, harsh. I called it complete, necessary, final. She'd written her apologies. I didn't read them. Fair exchange for the conspiracy she'd written against me in secret meetings with corrupt doctors and greedy attorneys. I stood, walked to the window. Garden below in moonlight, city lights beyond stretching toward the sound, life continuing everywhere. I'd lost a son but gained clarity. Lost family but kept dignity. Lost comfort but gained control. Lost illusions but gained truth. Necessary trades. Everyone. I thought about the woman at the museum, Angela Martinez, who'd handed me that folded note in March, "Stay calm and follow me." Simple advice that saved me. I had followed the path away from their trap toward my own salvation. Best advice I'd ever received from a stranger who became my ally. Tomorrow I'd call the gallery about my show, confirm the October dates. Next week, I'd start a new painting, maybe something with warmer tones. Not everything ahead had to be dark. Next month, I'd host another dinner, maybe invite more friends, reclaim more of the social life they'd tried to isolate me from. Life continued, better than before, because I knew now what I was capable of enduring and overcoming. The most elegant revenge wasn't destroying them. It was rebuilding myself, using their own weapons, law, documentation, evidence, procedure, the very system they'd tried to weaponize against me to protect what was mine. They'd wanted to take everything. I'd taken back my life instead. They'd counted on my weakness. I'd shown them strength they couldn't comprehend. I returned to the desk, closed the sketchbook on the drawing of my home, switched off the lamp, walked through dark rooms toward my bedroom. My bedroom, in my house, living my life, making my choices, every step an affirmation of freedom earned and defended, peace achieved, justice served, story complete. Before I close, let me say this one more time, because your presence here matters to me. This is Revenge Stories, a home for quiet courage and true endings. If my story moved you, if you felt the weight of my choices and the strength it took to make them, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Help us build this community so we can bring more interesting and exciting stories for you from around the world. Your help is much appreciated. Your voice matters here. Your story matters too. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here.